Welcome back, folks, to the last few minutes of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. I want to end here with helping you guys better understand what's happening in the market right now. If you look online, there's a lot of conflicting information on what's happening in the market. And so, of course, it goes without mentioning, but I'm going to do it anyways because I'm on the radio. News right now is extremely politicized. It's just a very political climate. People want you to think that everything's okay. Will it be okay in the long run? I don't know. Probably not, is my guess. But the first step is just understanding that there is going to be skewed data to push an agenda, depending upon the source of the information. Second to that is, you got to look at who's putting this information together. I remember very distinctly a segment I did a few years ago talking about searching for homes in the market where things had become pretty competitive, and how this one buyer went to like 50 plus open houses, and she walked into one home and there was a bottle of ketchup on the nightstand or something ridiculous like that. And she was like, and the writer of this real estate advice article, who was actually like a screenplay writer, as it turned out, was like, I knew then and there that the seller probably hadn't maintained the home and that there were probably issues that I couldn't see. And so I just left. And then she like tried to tie in some sort of piece of advice to it, like be aware of the warning signs when walking through a home. It was just this, I don't know, fear mongering almost. It was ridiculous. Is really what it was. But the point I want to make is that a lot of people don't know what's going on right now. Even the people that are putting together the information don't really understand the information they're putting together. They're grabbing information from different sources. But I do want to give you an idea of what I think is going to happen. And let's just start with kind of some general macros for the market. First of all, I expect there to be some more choice in terms of homes for sale. Now, this obviously should also go without saying, but this is under the assumption that we don't have another shutdown or that something crazy doesn't happen, right? If everything remains the same, generally speaking, I do expect there to be more homes available for sale. We really, both as a nation and as a local market, bottomed out in inventory really a few months ago, back in May, I think. But if you look at, and we don't have August's numbers yet, we'll have those next week. It takes a few days for them to compile the data and make sure everything's verified. But we have had 2 consistent months of putting more homes on the market than in any other month prior to that. In fact, July was, we put more homes on the market in July than in any other month in the past 10 years here locally. So we're starting to see some of that inventory ramp up a little bit, which is welcome news for buyers so that they don't have to compete with 50 other people for the same house. And I'm slightly exaggerating, but not really. I don't expect prices to drop very much. I think the rate at which prices have been going up is completely unsustainable and ultimately impacts affordability. So with the addition of a few more choices, given the fact that prices are still going to go up, and I think interest rates are going to go up. I mean, you've got rising inflation. You've got the Federal Reserve starting to taper back their asset purchases of mortgage-backed securities. I think it's inevitable that rates will go up. By how much and when, who knows? I don't. I'm not an economist. But it seems like that's going to be the case. It just makes sense for somebody that understands things at a pretty high level. So with all that being said, I do expect for you as a buyer next year to have a little bit more normalcy in the process. In other words, you don't have to waive every contingency and basically bet the farm on this one house and just hope that it doesn't have a bunch of hidden issues. I mean, we've seen people that are waiving the appraisal contingency, waiving the financing contingency, waiving the home inspection contingency, completely unprotected in the event something goes wrong once the home is under contract and as they're getting ready to close on it. And if they've waived those contingencies to the contract, let's say that there's something that happens something's going on underneath the house that nobody knew about, including the homeowner. And let's say it ends up being thousands of dollars or tens of thousands of dollars, which I have seen. If you don't have a financing contingency, an inspection contingency, then tough luck. You have to accept that home as is. Now, you could theoretically just walk away from it and say, hey, you can take my earnest money. That's better than buying a house that needs $30,000 worth of foundation repair that I didn't know about or that wasn't disclosed. But then you open yourself up to a few other issues. Getting sued for specific performance, agents trying to sue you for commissions. I mean, it gets kind of crazy. So I expect that the climate next year will be a little more favorable for buyers. But what I don't want you to, what the media wants you to think and what news articles want you to think is that we are going to return to a buyer's market. The rate at which things have been favoring sellers is going to start to decelerate. I think I said this last show, but it's like we have been driving 90 miles an hour for an hour, and we're just used to going that speed. And let's say a cop pulls onto the road, and now we've got to back it down to 70, go the speed limit. It seems like we're going at a snail's pace, when in reality, we're doing the speed limit. People get used to things after they've been experienced them for a while. We're used to it being a seller's market, so anything other than that doesn't mean that we're automatically going to switch over to a buyer's market like some of these articles suggest. It just means that things are cooling off, because at the end of the day, what's been happening nationally, regionally, locally is not sustainable. Why? Because affordability is an issue. I do not expect homes to be more affordable. And that's, I think, one of the takeaways is if you're a buyer and you're trying to time this market, I do still think prices are going to go up. I don't think they're going to go up as fast as they have been, but I do still think prices are going to go up. My guess would be that interest rates are going to go up as well. The only other thing that factors into affordability is wage. So unless we have a substantial increase across the board in how much money we're making, then affordability becomes more and more of a problem, meaning people get priced out of the market, or people are just like, I'm not paying that kind of money for that. The challenge is the longer you wait until we get to some sort of correction, and really until it starts to go back to a normal and then a buyer's market, which could take years. I think it's going to be sooner than that. But, until that happens, what's the alternative? Are we renting? Are we just blowing money on rent? If you want to talk more about this process and really just understand your specific section of the market, because every market in Charleston is different, then I'd welcome that phone call. If there's anything I can do to help, give me a call, 843-400-8009, 400-8009, or go to listingsincharleston.com. You guys enjoy your Labor Day weekend, and thanks for listening to the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show on the Big Talker, 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
Join us for another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show next Saturday morning at 9 and Sunday morning at 10. Contact Brian Beatty online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Broadcasting to the world on the WTMA smartphone app.
WTMA Charleston, a Cumulus station.